Beauty and the Beast, Belle, an Enchanted Story, Disney Bedtime Storybook. Have fun and enjoy.
Beauty and the Beast. A friend for Philippe. We always found ways to cheer ourselves up. You must brighten his stall. It's important to have the right atmosphere, you know. I do believe that music is the key to happiness, Cogsworth said. It always made me smile when I was an enchanted clock. Or how about a bubble bath? Chip chimed in. That used to cheer me up. Belle decided to give each idea a try. First, she helped Lumiere brighten up Philippe's stall. They covered the walls with wallpaper and trimmed them with gold. They piled pillows in the corners, hung curtains in the windows, and filled the room with flowers. And for the final brightening touch, they hung a huge chandelier from the ceiling. "Voila!" Lumiere exclaimed. What more could a horse ask for? Philippe stared sadly out the window. I wish I knew, said Belle. Next, Cogsworth set up an orchestra in the stable. Belle, Lumiere, and Chip listened politely as Cogsworth led the musicians through a very, very long concert. Philippe didn't seem to enjoy the concert much at all. But at least, Belle thought brightly, his appetite has returned. Finally, Belle saw to it that Philippe was treated to a bubble bath fit for a king. If this doesn't make him smile, Belle told Chip, I don't know what will. But in the end, though he was shiny and sweet-smelling, Philippe was just as glum, and Belle was just as puzzled. Maybe the prince will know what to do, Chip suggested. Belle thought this was an excellent idea. She found the prince in his study and explained everything to him. I wish I knew what Philippe needed, she cried. Do you have any suggestions? The prince thought for a moment. Maybe a walk would do him good, he said. A good walk always used to cheer me up. Of course, Belle agreed. That's a wonderful idea. Quickly, Belle changed into her riding clothes and hurried to fetch Philippe's saddle. When he saw her coming, he perked right up. "Silly me, what was I thinking?" Belle said as she saddled him. "You'd really like a nice ramble, wouldn't you?" Belle led Philippe to the edge of the forest where the royal orchards began. The sight of all the delicious fruit gave Belle an idea. "Would you like an apple?" Belle asked. "Go ahead and choose one." Following Belle's suggestion, Philippe wandered from tree to tree, eyeing each apple and even sniffing some. But soon his head was hanging and his steps were slow and heavy. It was clear his heart wasn't in it. Still, Belle did not give up. They continued on to a wide, open meadow. "You know," Belle said, "I bet a good gallop would do the trick." She leaned forward and snapped the reins, giving Philippe's sides a firm nudge with her heels. As if to tell her, wrong again, Philippe stopped, leaned down, and nibbled at the clover. "Oh, Philippe," Belle said in despair, "I just don't know what else to do." Then, all of a sudden, Philippe's ears pricked up and his head snapped to attention. Belle barely had time to sit up before Philippe charged off like a racehorse out of the gate. "Whoa, boy!" Belle cried, nearly falling out of the saddle. "Philippe, where are you going?" But Philippe just charged on, straight into the forest. At last, they emerged from the trees into a clearing filled with wild, beautiful horses. Belle and Philippe stared at the herd before them. Then Philippe whinnied, and several of the wild horses answered him. Finally, Belle realized what Philippe had wanted. Not a fancy stall, or fine music, or a bubble bath. Not an apple or a run. What Philippe had wanted was to be with other horses. "Well, go on," Belle said as she swung out of the saddle. "Go have some fun." She didn't have to tell him twice. Philippe trotted eagerly over to the herd. All afternoon, Belle watched Philippe race and play. Soon, he had even made a friend. The two horses grazed, chased each other around the clearing, and dozed together in the warm sun. All too quickly, the day was over, and the sun began to set. "Oh, goodness!" cried Belle. "We've got to get going." So she put Philippe's saddle on, and they started back toward the castle. "I promise we'll come back soon," Belle told Philippe. As they made their way through the meadow, Belle found herself wishing Philippe had a horse friend at the castle. "If only there was a way," Belle began. She was interrupted by the sound of hooves behind them. Belle turned around. "Well, look at that, Philippe!" she exclaimed. "It's your new friend!" The horse who had played with Philippe all afternoon was following them home. Belle and Philippe slowed their pace, and the shy horse drew closer and closer. By the time they reached the castle, the two horses were walking side by side. "Welcome to our castle," Belle told the new horse when they arrived. "We're honored to have you as our guest." And to show the horse she meant it, Belle hurried to fix up the stall next to Philippe's. "There," she said when she was through. "Now this looks like a stable where a horse or two could really live happily ever after." And that is exactly what they did.
Belle's story. Once upon a time, an enchantress turned a handsome prince into a terrible beast when she discovered his selfishness. She left behind an enchanted rose. If the prince did not find true love before the last rose petal fell, he would remain a beast forever. In a village nearby, Belle lived with her father. More than anything, Belle wanted an adventure like those she read about in her beloved books. Gaston wanted to marry Belle, but she refused. Belle thought he was a beastly bore, and Gaston didn't understand why she was always reading. "It's not right for a woman to read," he said. Belle's father, Maurice, was an inventor. His latest invention was an automatic wood chopper, which he was taking to a contest at the county fair. "You'll win first prize," Belle declared. On his way to the fair, Maurice got lost in the woods. A pack of wolves chased him to the gates of a nearby castle. Not sure what he would find inside, Maurice entered the castle grounds cautiously. Maurice could never have imagined the hideous beast that confronted him. Thinking Maurice had come to stare at him, the beast was furious. Without mercy, he locked this unwanted visitor in the dungeon. When her father's horse came home alone, Belle went in search of her father and found him locked up. Belle begged the beast for Maurice's freedom. "Take me instead," she offered. The beast agreed, making her promise to stay in the castle forever. On her first night, Belle met the castle servants. The spell cast by the enchantress had turned them into enchanted objects. They were funny, friendly, and treated Belle like a special guest. At dinner time, Belle refused the beast's invitation to join him, which made him roar with frustration. He was anxious to end the spell and felt Belle was a sign of hope. Mrs. Potts, the teapot, and Lumiere, the candelabrum, told him to be patient and, above all, kind. Later that night, Belle came upon the magic rose the enchantress had left behind. As Belle reached out to touch it, the beast appeared and grabbed the precious rose. "Get out!" he yelled. Belle fled the castle on her horse, but was attacked by the same wolves that had chased her father. Risking his life, the beast saved Belle. In the days that followed, Belle began to see the goodness in the beast. One evening, the beast again invited Belle to dinner. This time, she accepted. After dinner, the beast asked Belle to dance. As they whirled around the ballroom, the beast realized he was in love with Belle. Because of his love, the beast let Belle return home to see her father. When Gaston heard her speak fondly of the beast, he grew jealous and stormed the castle. Gaston stabbed the beast and then was accidentally knocked off the roof. Belle pulled the beast to safety. "Please, don't leave me," she sobbed. "I love you." As she spoke, the last rose petal fell. Then a shower of sparks filled the air. The beast began to transform. Into a handsome prince. The enchanted objects were filled with joy as they too turned back into humans and watched their prince and Belle fall in love anew. The end.
Palace Pets, Teacup, a performing pup for Belle. Written by Amy Skye Coster, illustrated by the Disney Storybook art team. Every day in the village square, Teacup the pup performed for the villagers, hoping someone would notice her. Someday she found it easy to shine and was rewarded with treats. Other days, Teacup found it hard to shine. One bright morning, Teacup was performing her signature move when she saw a beautiful girl walk by. It wasn't just any girl, it was Belle. Teacup had seen the princess from afar before, but today Belle had stopped to watch her perform. Just then, sunlight caught in one of Belle's golden earrings, blinding the peppy little pup. The teacup atop her head wobbled, then it toppled to the ground and broke. The villagers shook their heads in sympathy and slowly left Teacup alone. But the princess stayed. She knelt down and picked up the broken pieces of the teacup. "Don't worry, sweet little pup. I'll help you," said Belle. Then she carried Teacup home. At Belle's palace, Teacup was presented with her teacup perfectly repaired, and there were treats. Teacup had dreamed of being noticed. Now she is Belle's little star, performing just for the princess. Unless she's performing in the village square, where she always wears sunglasses.
Oh, it's marvelous. Wonderful. Belle looks positively elegant for the enchanted tea party.